Assalamu alaikum, peace everyone. Welcome to a new episode on this channel. And today we're going to be talking about what it means to be fearless and how we can get to being fearless and if fearless is really what we want to be, right? So, all of those things.
From beautiful seas to flourishing legacies.
So, the idea of fearlessness, when you think about it, is this idea that you can face anything and not feel 1 ounce of fear, right? So you feel confident, you feel strong, you feel ready to face anything in the world. And it is this ideal state that people want to be in. And when you see movies or you read books or you hear podcasts, really anything, whenever they are complimenting someone, maybe in history, someone who is a role model in some capacity, they'll say something like, this person was a fearless leader. Have you heard that before? When it comes to fear, fear is one of the milestones in our journey of growth. Because everyone who is here with me right now, you are on a journey of growth. We are all on a journey of growth to plant beautiful seeds, right? And our whole journey of growth, one thing that I don't think we talk about enough is the fear that we feel as we are trying to grow into better versions of ourselves. Fear that comes with change. There's this fear that comes with healing. There's this fear that comes with learning the truth about certain things. And I wanted to speak to that for a second. So when we are trying to change anything, what tends to happen is this feeling of fear comes upon us, right? You can describe the fear as maybe a physical sensation. You feel maybe your throat closing. You feel this panic inside of your chest. You feel like your chest is constricted. You feel like your heart is beating really fast. You're feeling all of this anxiety. You're feeling sweating and your feet are maybe numb and all of these things, right? And this is when you're going to and through a path of change. And the reason for this is because when we are changing something that we are used to and our body is not used to it, right? This new change that we're about to make, what tends to happen is that our body reacts in a way that it is terrified of the change. And what that is a defensive mechanism. It is trying to protect us. And one of the things that have helped our whole species survive as humanity and also helped animals survive over millions of years is fear. Because of fear, we go into this state of reaction. We either fight or we run or we freeze. And nowadays we fawn, right? We people please. And we can do any of these things, even though the people pleasing isn't in the immediate time, but it can be over a long period of time when you are around someone who might be making you feel a certain way or whatever it is related to that. I want to dedicate a whole video on that in the future, God willing. But just for now, it's this idea of fear, right? So what happens is when we are trying to change and we are trying to grow into better versions of ourselves, we feel this fear within us. And like I described the physical sensations of it. And the reason why is because our brain has been wired, literally wired into a way of being, right? There's these pathways that go through the brain and they've been put there through our repetitive actions. And it is a familiar pattern. Even if that familiar pattern is dangerous, we will choose that familiar pattern most of the time over an unknown thing that is about to happen, and it could be an unknown piece as well. So let me just rephrase that. So we are more likely to choose a familiar pattern which is unhealthy over an unfamiliar piece. And what that has to do with is everything which is a part of us. Is to do with our experiences, it is to do with our feelings, it is to do with our comfort levels, it is to do with all of the things. And that fear that is coming when we are about to make this change is coming from a place of protecting us. And that is really what fear is supposed to do. It's supposed to protect us. But sometimes this fear can come in such an extreme way and it blocks you from growing into the person that you could be. And you end up being stuck in the same place because you are terrified terrified of what will happen if you let go of everything that you know, even though you know it's not, or it might not be good for you, or something could be better for you because it's still not here. So there's good news, right? And there's bad news. So the good news is that our brains, as much as they have created these patterns that we are used to, our brains have this thing which is called neuroplasticity. You should definitely check it out. There's been so much research done into this. And what that basically means is that our brains can change the way that they think about things. They can change behaviors, they can change feelings, they can change thoughts. It can change so much about us through this thing called neuroplasticity. And this is like huge in the trauma healing world, right? But just specifically when you want to grow, our brain has the ability to change. So that's the first and most important thing to understand, and that's the good news. But in order to make that change, we have to create new patterns of behavior. And that's the bad news. That's the scary part. That's the part where we have to feel the fear and move past it anyway. And there it is. There's the answer. So when you are trying to grow and when you are trying to do something that is good for you, that you know is good for you, but this fear and this panic arises, that is something that is going to be there, and it will probably never leave you if you stay in the same place all the time. And how you become fearless is when we move through this fear or move with the fear despite this feeling of panic or fear or whatever it is that's coming along with that fear as well, as long as it is not overwhelming, right? So it's very important to understand that if the fear is overwhelming, like literally you're having this visceral reaction that your body is shaking and you can't do something, and this is something very real. It sounds extreme, but this does happen to people, and it happens in a way where you're almost having heart palpitations, you're having almost a panic attack. And in that case, when you still want to make the change, you don't stop. What you do is you take a tiny, tiny step. So it's like you take a little step here, you feel it out, you let your nervous system, because this is all about your nervous system, right? You let your nervous system adapt. You take another step, you let your nervous system adapt. You take another step, and then you let your nervous system adapt. And this is actually one of the sunnas, one of the ways of Islam, actually, which means that when we are doing something called spiritual training, it's advised to go slowly, one small thing at a time, right? And keep going. As long as you keep going, you're still getting to the place that you want. And before you know it, with all of these small things that you did in bite-sized fashions, you've been working with the fear, but it hasn't been overwhelming on you as well. And that is one way that you can move through it. So the thing about fear, I'm going to come back to the fear now. This idea of being fearless, right? The only way we can truly be fearless is before that, there's a step before that, is when we keep doing the thing until we become so confident in it that we no longer fear it anymore, because this new pattern of thinking has been created inside of our brains. So fearless only comes with practice. And before becoming fearless, there's one huge thing that we have to do, and one huge virtue that we have to be, and that is to be brave. It is to be brave. And before becoming fearless, you become brave. Because what bravery is that you do what terrifies you the most, even though it terrifies you, because you know it's the right thing to do, and you do it anyway. And that is what bravery is. So before becoming fearless and before becoming a warrior and before talking about all of these amazing things people did in history, every single one of them had to be brave before they became fearless. And then they became brave and fearless. So I hope that that clarifies some things for you. It definitely did for me as I was thinking about this and just writing it down. And next time you hear about someone being fearless, I really hope that you don't think that you're not brave or you're cowardly or you are a certain way because you feel this fear inside of you. In fact, that's a sign that, hey, it's your call to be brave, and it's time for you to step up and grow and become the best version of yourself, even if it means through planting tiny little seeds along the way and working with your nervous system as you go along with one small thing every day, every week, and every month. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I just want to let you know as well that I have a free chapter for you from my book, The Woke Writer, which is all about surrender. All of the information is under this video. And until next time, have a blessed day, everyone. Peace.